Hi guys, Dr. Lester here, and we are on, I think it's the third video, maybe the fourth, I don't even know anymore, I'm gonna stop counting, of why blood sugar is important. So blood sugar is important. We've talked about the first video about how does blood sugar work generally in the normal, good reference point. The last video we talked about was how does blood sugar affect blood pressure. Now we're going to take it one step further to how does blood pressure and blood sugar affect cholesterol. So this is important because it has kind of been a misnomer. Unfortunately, cholesterol has been labeled a bad guy when he's not. So I want to backpedal just a little bit. I really encourage you to watch the other ones because I go in a little bit more depth about it. But in a nutshell, blood sugar comes through your system through carbohydrates. It is digested down into glucose. It is absorbed indiscriminately from your gut into your bloodstream, and then your cells pick it up. So, as in the last one, we talked about blood pressure and what happens when you have too much glucose coming through, and so now the bloodstream is saturated because there's no way to stop. There's no wall or lockdown of some sort to stop blood sugar from coming through your gut and into your bloodstream. So your blood becomes saturated with this glucose. Now, I used the example earlier in the last video of sand in a hose. So we were talking specifically about how the more little sand granules I put in there, the more pressure I'm causing on this hose. And so eventually somewhere, that pressure's got to give. So we were talking about blood pressure. Well, think of those little sand granules as super sharp little pokey things. I can't think of what those little spurs, I guess, that they call the little grass things that you get on your shoes that stick on them. So they're these super sharp. Wow, that's hard to say. Super sharp little pokey spurs, sand granule thingies. And as they're going through these vessels, normally they don't hit anything because it's not concentrated. These vessels are plenty big for these tiny little sand granules. But the more that is in there, the more that they are pushed out towards those vessels, and they are going to start scraping the vessels. And they literally leave all of these little scratches everywhere on the vessels. Well, eventually those scratches add up to bigger and bigger things, and they start interrupting the integrity of the vessel, because now we're creating the possibility for the vessel to puncture, to break, to get really, really damaged. So we definitely need something to come in and repair that. What comes in and repairs it is cholesterol. Cholesterol is kind of a Band-Aid. I like to kind of describe it as a Band-Aid plus the Neosporin that you put on things. So most people kind of understand that general idea. So I put Neosporin on something, and I like to use this because it's kind of like a soft gel type thing. So I'm putting it on that area to protect it, and then I put the Band-Aid on to keep the Neosporin there, kind of thing. But if I were to leave Neosporin on for forever, it might eventually become hard, basically, is what I'm getting at there. So when you first put on cholesterol onto this wound on the vessel, it's going to be kind of soft. It takes a little bit of time for that to heal up, to become hard on that area, just like glue or whatever. So it needs time where it's not being insulted by something, which is why you put the Band-Aid, right? Where it's not being insulted by something, so it can actually have time to dry. This doesn't happen automatically, so if you have increased sand granules in there, increased blood sugar, then they're going to keep insulting it over and over. So more cholesterol, more Neosporin has to be put on that to allow the underlayer enough to try and get it to harden, right? Because that's the whole point, is to heal this area, but we can't keep healing it if things keep brushing it away, right? But the more blood sugar is in there, the more that it's going to be, the more difficult it's going to be to keep those things, giving those things time to harden. So we got to keep raising a layer, raising a layer, raising a layer. And so eventually it gets really, really crowded in there, because now the Neosporin is a friggin' tower, and all of this blood sugar is trying to get through and get over the tower. And so we start seeing that there has to be an increase of pressure, because we're causing a big diversion of traffic, basically. And it's because of an accident or because of this wound that is not able to be healed. Or it's taking longer to be healed than the insults are coming, basically. So, cholesterol is really the good guy in this situation. It's trying to help, and the insult is the amount of blood sugar that is in the bloodstream. And as a result, you see the high blood pressure as well. So as we look through this, and if you're trying to deal with your own heart issues as far as blood pressure and cholesterol, it is of utmost importance that you deal with high blood sugar, because it's the culprit, period. They've found that the FDA no longer says that eggs are related to high cholesterol, which everybody thinks, but it's super antiquated. That's not true. The FDA said that there was no correlation to this. Same thing with red meat. Now, there is definitely correlation with trans fats, or any fats that are not specifically natural. So there is some things there, we can talk about that, but for the most part, blood sugar is the culprit. The amount of sugar that you take in through simple carbs or complex carbs is the culprit. And I'm going to go through a whole bunch of things that talk about, like just the things that we don't, all of the hidden sources of sugar that we don't even realize and we are inundated with, and the level of addiction and stuff that this stuff has. It's ridiculous. But as you're talking about heart disease, it is super important to understand that the integrity of the vessels are lost because of the increased blood sugar, creating trauma to those vessels and creating increased pressure as well. I hope that clarifies things. I will talk a little bit more about it in my next video, and I will see you guys there. Thanks, guys.